the Pioneer viewers, how are you doing? I hope you're healthy and well. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring you the developments regarding Russia-Ukraine war. Ammunition and combat equipment, which are the greatest needs of the soldiers in war, must be provided and protected by the war leadership. This includes measures such as equipping with appropriate equipment, supply sufficient ammunition, and establishing strategic warehouses. The Russian army is at disadvantage in this regard because the Ukrainian army recently managed to neutralize an ammunition depot on the front line of the Russian army. So what are the details of the operation? Let's take a look at developments together. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring you developments regarding Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. You can also support me and my hardworking team by using the super thanks button below the video. Let's start if you're ready. The Pioneer reports. The Ukrainian army is waging a determined struggle against the Russian army on the front line and is delivering blow after blow. Although Russian troops are conducting offensive operations, at many points Ukrainian troops are fighting with grit and determination, disturbing the plans of the Russian army, repelling their attacks and preventing their further advances. The morale of the Ukrainian army, which has shown brilliant examples of strategic intelligence throughout the war, is quite high. This is due to the presence of the experienced and qualified military personnel who know how to wage war. One of the main goals of the Ukrainian armed forces is to liberate the Crimean Peninsula, which has been under the Russian occupation since 2014, a goal that has been frequently emphasized by the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, that has confirmed this objective with its offensives over the last 2 months. In particular, several Russian military bases in the vicinity of Crimea were targeted and the Black Sea Fleet was forced to flee the area, suffering heavy losses. The liberation of the Crimean Peninsula requires Ukrainian troops to advance along the Kherson front line. This will ensure the direct access to Crimea. To this end, the Ukrainian army made significant advances on the Kherson front line and fierce clashes took place against Russian troops. The Russian troops tried to retake the positions captured by the Ukrainian army but were unsuccessful in the face of the Ukrainian resistance at their positions. Krinky, next to the Dnieper River, is one of the important positions long defended by the armed forces of Ukraine, and the Russian army is finding it difficult to maintain this front. Although Ukrainian forces in the area are estimated to number about 300 men, the Russian army is unable to make progress in this area. In recent days, the Ukrainian army discovered an ammunition depot used by the Russian army to continue its offensives in this area. This warehouse was built to reinforce Russian troops on active duty in the direction of Krinky and was filled with high-impact ammunition. Ukrainian drones operators discovered the depot during the routine reconnaissance missions. The depot was not skillfully camouflaged. The carelessness of the Russian soldiers who did not take into account the conditions of the region led to the fact that the tarpaulins pulled to the hide warehouses were often turned off by the wind. The inadequate security measures provided with a great opportunity for Ukrainian military intelligence to monitor the activities of the Russian soldiers traveling and go from the warehouses. Ukrainian troops meticulously monitored the movements of the Russian troops arriving at depot, waiting for an opportunity to attack. It was determined that Russian troops came to the depot 3 times a week to pick up the ammunition and send it to other units in Krinky. An operational plan was drawn up, and on the first day of the week, action was taken to destroy the ammunition in the depot. Meanwhile, the Russian soldiers who arrived at the depot were unaware of the impending danger. In the early hours in the dim light of the morning, when silence reigned, Russian soldiers quietly entered the warehouse. They began preparations to transport the ammunition to the front line, working to load it to lorries. Meanwhile, a drone of the Ukrainian armed forces was silently hovering overhead, approaching the warehouse. The Russian troops did not notice the drone until they heard the sound of its engine approaching. When the drone crashed into the ammunition depot with explosive payload, it exploded with a loud bang. The warehouse had a wide area impact due to the army missiles and the bombs inside. Local reports claim that the explosion could be heard from far away and that windows shook in nearby residential neighborhoods. As a result of this violent explosion, all of the Russian soldiers carrying the ammunition to the area were also destroyed. Ukrainian sources consider this operation a great success. The Russian army had failed to make any progress in this region for a long time. While the Russian sources claimed that this was due to the insufficient ammunition, it turned out that the success of the Ukrainian army's strategy of reconnaissance, tracking, and destruction was the main factor. There is a tremendous coordination between the Ukrainian armed forces and other operational units, with each unit in constant communications with each other. It further increases the success of the army. However, there is a huge disconnect in the Russian army and security services. There are many reasons for this disconnect, but the most important one is the interventional behavior of the president of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin. Putin wants his decision to be implemented in all matters of the Russian Federation, even if he has no knowledge of these decisions. This sometimes creates enmity with the Russian commanders, as many experienced commanders oppose Putin's arbitrary decisions. When Putin takes a decision, no matter how much the commanders oppose it, he forces it to be implemented. However, when there is a failure afterwards, the commanders are blamed. Putin has purged many commanders in this way so far. Some sources claim that there will be many resignations in the Russian army in the coming days. Putin's arbitrary decisions disturb the balance and order in the Russian army, which leads to the failure of the army. In the Ukrainian army, full commitment to the Ukrainian states is noticeable. President Volodymyr Zelensky is carefully monitoring the process and attaches great importance to expert advice. As a leader free from personal ambitions, Zelensky is respected and loved by the Ukrainian army, thus ensuring the army state's unity. In the face of this unity and cohesion, it is clear that the Russian army and states have no chance. While intense clashes on the front line continue, this development has revealed that the Russian army is still incapable of defending its positions. In particular, the Ukrainian army's ability to infiltrate behind the front line and carry out operations still scares the Russian army. Russian sources are furious. Russian sources think that the Russian intelligence is now a useless organization. But do you think that the Russian intelligence is really useless? What do you think about the operations of the Ukrainian army? How do you think the Kherson front line will be shaped? Do you think that the losses of the Russian army will increase? Specify it in the comments. You know that I read and I care about all the comments.